Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy Speed here, back with two headphones. I just realized I have two headphones on. Alright, we're gonna be watching AMMAR's Tiny. This guy has been tearing it up as of late, and in this game, he went like 10-2 on offlane Tiny. Who even plays offlane Tiny? It's like crazy to see that Team Falcons, who have yet to drop a series, are just picking stuff up like this, right? They lead with the CM Tiny, and of course, every single team is thinking, this is probably some sort of Tiny support, right? Of course that's what you're thinking, and then you're thinking, okay, what do we pick in the lane to deal with Tiny support, right? What is our answer to Tiny support? But then all of a sudden it's Tiny offlane and you have a Shadow Demon. Now you have a Shadow Demon that's in an incredible Shadow Demon game. It counters a potential Yules from Death Prophet, you make illusions of a Luna, Dispel against Techie's W is incredible, you can save against Fiend's Grip, save against Arena, right? You have this incredible pick in the Shadow Demon for crits. So we're gonna be doing a live analysis of the Tiny because honestly, the big problem with Tiny offlane is a very clunky farming hero, right? In terms of killing neutrals, Tiny's mana pool gives him a lot of problems, right? Avalanching the camp is just clunky. It feels weird. On top of that, this hero has this weird issue of zero base armor, right? Zero base armor. That tends to be a big problem when you're playing core and you have to sit in the lane for a long period of time. So let's see what he does about these problems, how he addresses them, and let's get into it. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the GameLeap website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. Okay, so as you'd expect, well at least as I'd expect, he's buying a Wraith Band, stick, branches, Wraith Band, tangos. You don't need quelling on this hero because the tree throw gives you plenty of damage to CS and deny. And this is a hero where typically what you try to do is avoid all contact. And generally what the enemy should do is force fights, specifically so that even if the trade is even, Tiny runs out of tree throw to CS and deny, right? And so you'll see that AMMAR is actively avoiding any sort of trade, and it is good that Yatoro is trying to bait him to hit. But obviously AMMAR is good enough to understand these interactions, and hopefully you guys are now as well. Tiny does not want to hit. Notice how he has not hit the Bane, he's not hit the Luna, he's literally just trying to deny. The goal of Tiny is to use the 89 damage, not interact with your opponent, and get as close as you can to perfect CS and perfect denies. And at 4-1 here, he's doing almost exactly that, right? Boom, close to perfect. How did he miss that last one? That was crazy. But close to perfect CS. When you don't have tree throw, honestly, your hero is a little bit weak. You mainly have to play pretty defensive and avoid too much damage due to the fact that your hero's armor sucks. So at level 2, generally go for Avalanche and you're gonna use it to secure creeps. I mean, there's like a play with tossback and disruption, but I think it's a bit too hard, and there's a good chance you'll actually end up just tossing an illusion. So yeah, goes for the Avalanche. You're just gonna use it to secure CS. He's got a stick, 5 charges, max mana, close to max mana, so he's chilling in. I think if you're Tiny, you're pretty happy going even in these early levels. He might even be ahead. No, okay, he's about even, right? About even, and you're pretty happy about that. I'm even surprised to see him like trading a little bit here, right? Looking to get aggressive, because once again, your hero, it's not that it trades terribly, but it's just average due to the base armor. Thankfully now he has the Wraith Band, which really helps you out. It gives 1.5 armor now. Wraith Band was nerfed in the most recent patch, which actually does hurt heroes like Tiny a lot that like buying this Wraith Band. Oh wow, you notice how he did that? That was really cool. So what he did here is he pulled these 3 creeps to the side and aggroed it to try to get either 2 or 3 creeps. I don't know if he was aiming for 2 or 3, but by getting less creeps, it's easier to deny the entirety of the wave. So should get the range deny here. Doesn't even care about getting the deny because no one's in XP range, so he can just hit as early as possible. If someone's in XP range, you need to specifically get the deny. If no one is, you can just hit the creep as fast as you can to keep the lane back. That's some advanced tech for you guys that a lot of these pros use. So going for phase boots, actually opting to pick up the blades of attack first, which is surprising because typically on Tiny, you either see boots or chainmail if you're gonna opt for this build. And the reason why is your base movement speed and base armor are some of the worst in the game. And so you generally solve those problems as fast as you can. But clearly he doesn't see this lane as much of a problem at all. I mean, even though his CS is only average, it's nothing crazy. He's actually the lowest in the lobby. So certainly nothing crazy. As I said, Tiny, not the best laner, it's just average. But with tree throw up in a second, level 2 Avalanche coming up, and yeah, picking up blades of attack, so really wanting to go for these denies, really wanting to shut down this Luna, and he is slowing down the Luna, right? 19 CS, it's not perfect for minute 5, right? And this is what Tiny does. It hopefully slows down the enemy carry just based on CS, not really based on pressure though. All right, so something that I'm seeing here with AMMAR, I mean, this sequence is really cool because once again, Tiny is not the best hero at this point in the game. Like, Luna is quite resilient against Tiny due to her armor. However, they end up killing a Toro here. And what he does is he actually baits her to stay around. So has the wave back, but eventually Luna's going to step up to CS the next wave, to farm the next wave. Just starts hitting her. And you can see the hits really don't do that much damage. Luna's armor is incredibly high. But what he ends up doing is kind of just baits her to stay around. Like you can see, it doesn't look very good at first. He takes quite a bit of damage, right? Only has 6 armor at this point in the game, even with Phase Boots Wraith Band. Avalanches to help out the Shadow Demon, but they buy so much time, and he kind of baits them in for this CM TP. And you could argue maybe the techies could have TP'd, and then this wouldn't have looked good. But yeah, I mean, it was cool, right? Even though it was sort of an unfavorable trade, I would argue if CM didn't come, it would have ended up being bad. They bought time, and that's just like one of those heads-up plays that obviously requires synergy with the position 5, but it's really cool to see that happen. Like, it seemed super intentional. As then they're going to find... oh wow, that Brain Sap healed so much. Did he Brain Sap an illusion? I think Brain Sapping an illusion like full heals you, from what I've heard. Because it does, yeah, it heals you based on the damage you deal, and you deal bonus damage to illusions. So like, Brain Sapping illusions just full heals Bane. It's really a bizarre interaction. Okay, so he had a blink queued up, but then he changed his mind. He finished the wand and bought a Windlace. And I can't stress enough how good I think Phase Boots plus Windlace is on a huge portion of the Dota cast. I think heroes like Kunkka, Mars, Tiny, Primal Beast, I think these heroes like Phase Boost Windlace just lets you take a lot of risk in terms of where you farm, right? Like pushing up to here, you know that if you get set up on, you're really fast and there's a good chance you can get out. It lets you close the gap if you're setting up kills. Like previous to this blink timing, if you go treads, no Windlace, you're generally too slow to really make things happen. But with this build, he's going to look to TP in. He's going to look to set up plays as he's putting some pressure on Miposhka. Nothing too real here. Once again, this is not the point in the game where Tiny is like 1v9ing, which is generally why this hero is played as a support, because it's more of a mid-game threat, right? This hero is just more of a mid-game threat, but it's kind of like Mars in a lot of ways, where like Mars, at this point in the game, I mean, maybe with Arena you kill the support, but like, honestly, a lot of the time you don't. You're just playing for a mid-game timing where, you know, you set up some kills, you help out your teammates get stuff done. And this game at first was going really, really poorly. Like, Team Spirit was clearly dominating this game. The Mars absolutely, I mean, Collapse put on a performance. He destroyed the Sven. Like, Skeeter got bodied. He's 0-2, which is pretty crazy because, I mean, honestly, Mars is not the best laner. Like, Mars is mid-tier in terms of, like, lane dominators. However, I mean, again, CM Sven is a pretty good lane, but the Mars Techie's bodied. And in this team fight here, like, Collapse goes in, he combos up the Mars, which is pretty standard. You go on half HP heroes because that's who you can kill as Tiny, but ends up getting gripped and just goes down. Like, a huge team fight from Team Spirit, and like the game at this point is looking terrible. Absolutely terrible. And so let's really see what he does to recover here, because at this point, I mean, most players would just give up mentally. So the start to the comeback happens here. Good movement from AMMAR. So he's clearing the wave. One of the things you have to do when you're losing games, just kind of take dangerous creep waves and then try to get out, right? Basically, like, bait the enemy to TP, get them to waste their time, open up the map for your carry, and then get out. And he does do that. Gets the blink away. Crit gets some damage. But then what I really like is they kind of stick around. I don't know how they're so confident from 7k behind, but they are. And the enemy team blinks away. I think they're afraid because the DP shows mid, and they end up finding a nice kill on the techies. I mean, that is a 700 gold kill. So, big comeback for them there. Alright, this upcoming team fight here, honestly, I have no idea what Team Spirit is doing. Like, surely at this point in the game, you lead the fight with the Mars, right? I mean, you would imagine. Or Bane off a smoke, because it's nighttime and Bane has bonus vision. But, yeah, just good. I mean, essentially what AMMAR knows, I think, at this point in the game, is that the person he can kill is the supports. Like, they don't really kill anyone else. It's very hard to burst his DP. She's incredibly tanky at this point of the game, right? Sanj, Witchblade, like, way too tanky. The Mars is pretty tanky and he has Yules. To be fair, going Yules against Shadow Demon, I mean, there's a chance if you use it defensively, it does literally nothing. And so at this point in the game, he doesn't have a single another death. They're 5k behind, game is looking terrible, but he has legit not a singular extra death from here on out, like not one. He's 2-2 and he ends the game 10-2. Okay, so the game ends up really breaking down here. Like, Team Spirit, they have Aegis, they're seemingly in a position to start sieging and close out this match, but AMMAR finds a great angle. I mean, frankly, I don't know exactly what Team Spirit was doing here. It seems like a bit of a choke on their part because Collapse ends up coming from the bot side of the map. Maybe they thought Team Falcons was just top or in their base, but Collapse ends up getting caught out, and as we talked about, the Yules against the Shadow Demon, not good defensively, right? If he has BKB, he's totally fine here, but Yules against Shadow Demon is completely useless if you're the one getting initiated on, right? And so he ends up going down, and yeah, a good angle, right? Notice how he takes to the right here instead of running straight into the Luna. A lot of people would take a straight line, and they would get canceled by a Techie's Bomb or some random Lucent Beam, whatever it is, they would get canceled. But he finds a good angle around the back, understanding his best target is definitely the main, number 2 is the Techies. But yeah, gets a great toss back, and you know, Tiny with Sven is really, really good because you just super clump people up, right? The toss into the Avalanche is how he wants to execute the fight. Avalanche toss combo does the most damage, but in terms of the mid game, your goal is not to kill people. It is to enable the Sven to toss people together into the Sven. And so he clearly understands that, and that was a great clean initiation. Finding claps on the side, and then finding the Bane is like exactly what you would want in a fight like that. All right, and at this point in the game, I mean, he has managed to truly recover. In terms of talents, at level 10, he took 10 strength. Avalanche at 15. I think at 20, you take grow bonus damage with tree. It's just way too good. Toss requires no target is a cool talent. It allows you to cliff people, and it is unironically good. You can also toss back with no teammate nearby, but for the most part, just being able to one-shot, especially when you go Conda, this is the build on Tiny nowadays. You go Conda, BKB. Some people will skip the BKB and just straight go Conda. It's the best early game burst build, right? It's just so much burst damage on a hero like Tiny. Damage, and then of course the passive Empower spell. But yeah, I mean, he really shocks me with how much damage he actually deals to the Mars here, right? Because Mars is a pretty damn tanky hero. However, Mars's armor is not the best. His Cloak of Flames and Phase Boots on Mars helps him quite a bit. But yeah, AMMAR's gonna find the angle, and as I said, I was pretty damn surprised. Hits him from the back, so no bulwark reduction here. I mean, oh my gosh, 1800 damage straight up, and these auto attacks are chunking. I guess at this point of the game, crit, I mean, always just manages to get this Ags. It causes the Demonic Purge to break. All right, so against someone like Mars, when he turns around, usually he would be able to kind of deal with this Tiny, but when broken, whew, I mean, he barely gets out, but this sets up for a very easy fight because the Bane, right, and this is how these fights play out. When you're such a strong initiating hero, when you have such a good game, it helps the Sven get a good angle, right? When you go BKB like this and you can just stay alive and initiate, it makes it really easy for Sven. I mean, look at this, easy peasy. I mean, unfortunately, he should be hitting from the right. The stun kind of put him in a bad spot, but yeah, easy Bane kill. Fight starts off on a good foot. Just mans up. That damage on a Laurel. And so yeah, it's just a nice team fight. It makes the Sven's job pretty damn easy as wow, just manning up to Luna is crazy. Luna's a pretty good man up hero, but it's just not even close. But all right, getting back into the Tiny. Once again, you're just gonna kite, wait for your blink. He's got his E up in 3 seconds, so you don't go on BKB heroes. He could kill Mira here if he decides. Gets used up by Collapse. Good play from Collapse to kind of buy time and stall out this Tiny. They're clearly just trying to keep him in place. They're not gonna kill him though. At least not these two heroes. They need Bane to come across and do that. He does have Overseal, but he's looking to go ahead. So yeah, just such a good initiation. Finding the collapse on the side. The main thing I'd like to note about what AMMAR's doing is that he's finding the isolated target. When you constantly and consistently, which is what he's doing, finding this isolated target, collapse being the target multiple times in a row, or the Techies, we saw that earlier, just finding these targets. Oh my gosh. Almost solos collapse there. When you keep finding these targets like this, it just allows your team to win fights because the fight extends to your team. You have complete vision. He's starting the fights on their vision and towards their team. And I can't stress how important that is for initiator players. If your initiation causes your entire team to have to run like a screen's length to catch up to you, it's probably a bad initiation. You're probably enabling the enemy team to stay hidden, stay out of vision, and save, right? Use their save abilities like Nightmare and Techie's Shard with Techie's W with Shard in a safe position. Okay, and for the last team fight of the video, I just want to display the patience he has. A lot of heroes in Dota do nothing when BKB goes up. And Tiny with this exact build is one of those heroes. Like, yeah, your auto attack damage does a lot, but for the most part, your spells enable that auto attack damage, right? And so he finds the Bane on the outside, but he didn't commit. He had the option to go on this guy, to go on this guy, to go on this guy, but he has the patience to just wait for the Bane to step up, finds the Bane. And I would even argue here, like, he ends up running into the enemy heroes. He has no tree right now, and honestly, he does a little bit of damage, but probably just a waste to go in. It sort of forces him to click his BKB in a semi-cringe way, ends up having to man up to Luna here. Obviously does kind of kite out the Luna BKB, and you know, they're so far ahead at this point where a lot of decisions can just look okay, but I would argue even there, he probably should have just kited out and wait for his next blink to come up, wait for his tree toss to come up, or the tree grab to come up, and it would have made it the end of that fight even cleaner. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Just such an impressive player. This guy's just really consistent, you know. His laning stage because this hero is not good against Luna Bane, I assure you. Like, that lane is not good, like this laning matchup, but he made it look fine, just through not randomly using the tree grab early on, not pulling stupid aggro, getting the lane back when needed, and even though his game was hard, just finding good angle, good angle, good angle. And this is what good players do. They don't have to dominate every game, but they got to make good decisions every game, right? They got to be making like solid initiations. If you're the initiator, you got to be finding those targets on the outside time and time again. That's what these good players do. That's what AMMAR does. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.